Welcome, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Alex Muresan has joined us today, everybody. And this is Jenny. Welcome to Miami Lit Podcast. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
No, yeah, you and
Me and
all
everything
those that
comes
you
with it.
represent. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So, let's just dive right in and start at the beginning.
Okay.
How old were you when you came to Miami?
Actually, I was 14 turning 15.
That's like a formative age, I feel like. So you're like right in the middle of the teenage chaos.
I almost didn't make it. I remember, so I came from Romania and
Yeah.
it's not humid ever. Literally never felt humidity in my life. And we came and it was a long plane ride and I got off the plane and I remember stepping out of the airport and the heat just hits me and I start sweating and I can't breathe and I'm telling my mom I need to go back home. I can't breathe here. I was panicking. It was really crazy. And then apparently 4 weeks later, I was like, I don't want to go back home. Let's move here.
Oh my God. Because you guys came to visit first?
Yeah, my dad was working here for a couple years and we were supposed to just come and visit. And we visited for 8 weeks and then we started the proceedings to like get citizenship and all that, which took another 10 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a process. But
for
now
sure.
you love it here.
Yeah, I left Miami. I was in Florida. I wasn't actually even in Miami. I was in Florida and Vero Beach for 1 year.
Hmm.
And then we moved a hurricane destroyed where my dad was working and we moved to Georgia and I finished my high school in a tiny little town there and then went to UGA. And then I spent a long
Wow.
time in Georgia, went to New York, DC, LA, traveled the world for about a year and a half, and now I'm back in Miami.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
I did a little
So
tour.
since you've seen a lot, what's been the biggest difference here compared to all the other places?
Well, I think right now, in the state of everything, Miami is like the only place in the US that makes sense.
That's,
Business
yeah.
wise, community wise, culture wise. And I remember 4 years ago, I reconnected with my childhood best friend who we grew up dancing together, and he still competes. So he came to Miami and I visited him, and I remember everything shifted. The way that I was doing business shifted. I actually divorced after that trip.
Oh,
I literally turned my life upside down because I came here and I realized that he's enjoying his life. He's
yeah.
following his passion. He's still doing the things that like we always loved and did together. And I kind of took the road of this is what society expects of me, so
Mm,
I'm gonna conform to that. I'm gonna get a wife. I'm gonna get a good, have a good business and make money and
the
have all these
dog,
status and
the
just
picket
the
fence.
dogs. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, all that. But I was unhappy.
Oh,
So it
wow.
took coming back to Miami, and I remember there's a video somewhere out there, and we were just dancing and singing in the street, and I hadn't done that in years. And that's when I was like, one day I'm gonna retire in Miami. I didn't think it'd be this early that I'd come back, but that's when it kind of called back.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It's so crazy how like a simple experience can put so much perspective.
right.
Yeah. That's incredible. And I'm happy for you that it
Yeah, me too.
happened. Cuz can you imagine not having that experience and living a life of just, going with the I don't even want to say going with the flow because that's a good thing, but just living without purpose.
Yeah, I went back and we had this really nice apartment in Tribeca, 2 bedroom overlooking the river, all the things. And I was sitting on the ledge and I just started crying. And my ex-wife was like, "Why are you crying?" And I was like, "I just feel like I have no purpose." She's like, "Well, but
Yeah.
you have your business and this is good and this is good and we go on vacations." And I'm like, "Yes, but
On
like,
paper.
yeah, on paper it all looks good, but I don't feel fulfilled with any of it."
Yeah.
So it was nice to take that approach and observe that then instead of like just continue with the rest of my life.
Right. Wow. So you went how was walking away from everything?
I think it was easy because I knew it was the right thing.
Yeah.
Like the whole, being married and having that business and everything was so educational.
Hmm.
I learned about who I am, what I want, what I don't want, what my boundaries are, what's important to me. And then I took all those lessons and stepped away. And we had an amicable separation.
Yeah.
I after that, I started looking for people to buy my business. I used to have a trampoline park in Athens, Georgia, and it was super fun.
I was gonna say that sounds so
I
cool.
enjoyed it, and it was on autopilot because I was living in New York, and this was running, and I would just have to go visit maybe once a month. Um, but I found someone that was local that could enjoy it more and be there more for its growth. And then we closed that deal March 9th, 2020. So like 4 days before COVID started. Yeah.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's crazy.
It was. It was crazy timing.
Yeah, talk about divine timing,
Right?
right? That you were able, as the world is entering to this chaos, you're kind of like building your foundation.
Right. Yeah.
That is, yeah, that's amazing.
It was really cool. And I remember I was everything shut down and I was like, this is good. I have a cushion. I don't have to worry about anything. And I was stuck in my apartment. I was in DC at that point, and I had this tiny studio with it was 250 square feet, a Murphy bed, like everything was tiny, but it was
Yeah.
perfect for just me and my puppy. I have a little Yorkie, and all I did every day was I woke up at the same time. I had like a morning routine. I meditated. I walked him. I exercised. I made my bulletproof coffee. I would journal. I would read. Like it was
You
really good to
journal?
just, yeah, I
Me
do.
too.
I love it.
Oh my God. We have so much in common. That's that's yeah, it's sorry I interrupted you. It just caught me by surprise because not a lot of people journal,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
right.
Yeah. We need to change that.
I think that's why it's so important that this project is built on a bedrock of wellness.
Yeah.
Because it's important to get everything that's in your head on paper, right?
Yeah. I always say, there's nothing like facing yourself on paper.
Yeah,
And it could be hard, but it's so, the benefits are just so amazing, you know?
yeah. I was at this summit called Fit for Service in Austin a couple weeks ago, and one of the exercises we did one day was a stream of consciousness
Those are
journaling,
good.
and they were just like, kind of gave us a little bit of um, road to think about. And then we just went to town for like 10, 15 minutes. And the stuff that comes out is just surprising.
Yeah,
It's stuff that I hadn't thought about since I was a kid.
exactly.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think everybody should pick that habit up for sure.
Yeah. Even if it's just 5 minutes, you
Yeah.
don't need a long
Yeah.
time.
No.
You just need just a few minutes to just empty the wastebasket that's up
Right.
here.
Yeah.
And who knows what comes out? It could be great things or not, but at least they're no longer living or taking up space.
Yeah. It's gonna take it off your plate.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Do you journal every day?
No.
How do you go about it? What's your approach?
So currently what I'm sort of revisiting now, I used to meditate. I had like a really strict Vipassana meditation. So it was like full silence and it was 30 minutes to an hour twice a day.
Wow.
And then that wasn't sustainable, especially with
Yeah.
travel, because you always go to bed at different times, or you stay up all night, or
Right.
whatever it is. So I found this new style of meditation called Ziva.
I'm not
Um,
familiar.
yeah, it's this amazing woman, Emily Fletcher from New York. So she kind of incorporated meditation with manifestation and with mindfulness. So it's super simple. You don't need any audio. You don't need anything. It's 15 minutes twice a day. It's still twice a day because she says we accumulate so much throughout the day that you need that second time to like lower the total capacity of stress that you have.
Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm on day 13 of that, of the training.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a 15-day training.
And you're seeing results?
I like it. Yeah. I think it's really cool. At first she tells you, she's like, don't make any big life decisions while you're doing this training because a lot of stuff comes up, right? And I
Mm.
thought, oh, nothing's coming up for me. Like this is just normal. But I'm finding myself like noticing new things or like fighting with people. And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. You'd expect to be all zen, but in reality,
Yeah.
like things are coming up that you haven't
Huh.
processed. So
That you've
it's
had in
nice.
the back
Right.
for a while.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to
I
look
love it.
into that.
Yeah, for sure. I'll send it to
That's
you.
interesting. Very, very interesting. So to go back to a little bit of your journey. So you're an immigrant. How do you feel that experience has had an impact, an effect on how you navigate life now?
Well, I think between being an immigrant and between specifically in Romania, communism had fell the year after I was born. So
Wow.
it still felt, even though I didn't grow up in communist time, it still felt like it was a lot of that was still left
I mean,
over.
I was gonna say it takes time
Right.
to kind of like wash all that away from society.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we still didn't have access to like most fruit that didn't grow in the countries, like bananas or oranges or stuff like that. That was like Christmas presents, and chocolate from other countries, and TV and cartoons and stuff like that. Games, everything was kind of shut down and limited, right? But looking back, what I appreciate about that time and what I enjoy about that time and what I'm thankful for is being happy with the things that you had.
Yeah.
And now coming to America, which you have everything, you have access to everything, you have the capacity to like become anything. Sometimes we just keep on wanting more and more and more. But I think looking back and seeing people that are so happy just living in the country with, their three chickens and,
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
fresh eggs and
You
living
just
off the land.
described my parents.
Yeah. And they're probably happy, right?
Oh, they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they walked to, they had a business here in the city. They sold that. They retired in their farm, and that's exactly what they do.
That's amazing.
They grow their own fruit. They have their chickens. They even had cows at one point,
That's nice.
but they were getting too emotionally attached. It
Mm.
was becoming a
I would too.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they love it. They
Yeah.
love it.
And also like rebuilding, the idea of rebuilding. My parents, so my grandpa had the very first business license that was issued by the city after communism fell, because you couldn't have a
Oh
business during
wow.
communism,
Yeah, of
which is
course.
crazy, right? Um, so he had the first one, and he had a driving school, and then he had an auto parts store and whatever, hotels and bars and all sorts of stuff. And then my mom became a single mom whenever I was about 2 or 3, and she was a nurse at the time, but that wasn't enough to like support the
Yeah.
family basically. And so my grandpa gave her a store, like an auto parts store, and she knew nothing about auto parts, but she sort of built that into like a mini, I think she had maybe 5 or 6 stores when we left the country.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun
So
and
it
like
runs in your blood, this
100%.
business minded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
My grandma left, she used to work for a government ran bookstore, whatever, those don't exist here, but she quit that to open a business. So kind of everybody had a business.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, my mom would just take me around town to like go count inventory and buy stuff for the businesses and have meetings and go to banks and all this stuff. So I feel like I grew up. I remember at 3, I made my first business cards out of like decoupage, like
Get out.
magazines
That's
and stuff. And I was
awesome.
handing it to people. So I think I always knew that. But when we left Romania, we left all that behind because none of it was transferable. So at first, my dad could only work when we moved here, and he was an engineer back home, and here he was a waiter because that's
It's
just how it transfers.
yeah.
And my
It's
mom
so
couldn't work,
heartbreaking,
right?
right?
Yeah, and she couldn't really speak English, so she went to ESOL classes, and then it almost drove her crazy having to stay at home after working her whole life and being on the road doing things her whole life. And then it was really interesting rebuilding all of that, like
Yeah.
feeling like we were well off in Romania and then coming here and just being at the bottom. We lived in this tiny little duplex, and like all of our furniture was like hand me downs. Like I had a pink dresser and like, all this stuff, but we were still happy. And put in
Yeah.
perspective, like lifestyle in Romania of, upper middle class, let's call it, was still more challenging than like the lowest of the low in the US. I remember when my dad would get paid, we would go to TJ Maxx and we'd have like, $20 allowance to like buy whatever we wanted. It was like the most exciting thing in the world because it
Yeah.
was so often compared to like buying clothes once, even as a rich person in Romania. So
It's
it just gives you perspective.
it really does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it reminds you of like really what you're made of,
Right.
right? Because like you said, you in your country you had a certain status that you had worked for, and now here it's like you're back to zero.
Right.
That's so hard, but then you do it again and you do it as many times as you need to do it, and it just reminds you like you got this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And the fact that you're able to live like with so much less than you think you can.
Right.
You know, we think we need all the luxuries and this and
Yeah.
that. But in reality,
I think that the essence of the human spirit is there's no better way of showing it than in someone that has immigrated to a different country.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the things people go through for what they believe in, right? It's incredible. And then you kind of took that and extended that with everything that you've done.
Yeah.
It's it's so cool. I'm sure your parents must be thrilled.
Yeah. I think, for a long time, I think everything that I did was to make them proud.
Oh, yeah.
To be like, you brought me here. I'm going to
And
show
it
you
wasn't
that
in
I'm going to
vain.
become whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate for
Right.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And then I had to step away for a little bit whenever, 2019, 2020. And I was like, I know you want this for me, but let me do it my way, basically.
Yeah,
And I think it's going to be the same end result. They're still going to feel safe and
for
secure in
sure.
what I'm doing, but it's just not the way that they saw it.
You have your own path.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all do.
How did you become a dancer?
um, in kindergarten, we had two options. So we had karate and ballroom dance.
Oh, wow.
And of course, I did karate because I was a boy. And, a couple of weeks in, I just was always on the bench and I was crying because my sensei was always using me as like the demo guy and he kept like throwing me around. So they were like, we're going to put you in dance. And then after that year, the dance teacher was like, your son has some potential. You should bring him over. And from, I guess, age 6 to 15 when I moved here, dance became everything. Like I would miss a lot of school. After school, my coach would take me and drive us about an hour away. We'd train the whole night, train every weekend,
It's
competitions.
intense.
Yeah, I didn't have a summer break or a spring break or any kind of break for the whole time that I was
Wow.
competing. Yeah, but it was amazing because it was the best friends. It was like a
Yeah.
group of 6 of us that were always together.
And they give you guys those options in school?
No, it was outside of
Oh,
school.
outside of school. I
Yeah,
was gonna say
started in
because
kindergarten, but
everyone like from Eastern Europe, they're all such good dancers. Like, what
right.
do you guys have going on over there? I don't understand. All the amazing dancers all come from there.
Yeah, ballroom and Latin is probably the second biggest sport in Romania after soccer.
That is incredible.
Yeah, and not a lot of people talk about it, but it's just we all do it.
It would be interesting to like dig into the history of that. Like, how do you know what I mean? Like, how did, because even the Latin countries are not that
Yeah,
crazy about their own dancing.
you're right.
Yeah, I'm curious. Someone out there, an anthropologist, someone tell us.
Right.
That's so interesting.
Because the best countries, especially for like international style ballroom and Latin, are like England, Italy,
Yeah,
Germany, and like the Russian countries, Ukraine, Russia.
right. Even like tango. Like, you guys are
Right.
so good at tango.
Yeah.
It's
It doesn't
amazing.
add up.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And it's actually really cool to see how someone from so far away can take a culture and just embrace it and turn it into this spectacular
Right.
thing.
That's a good point. I
Yeah.
never thought about that. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, we used to watch what is it, Dancing with the Stars? Like when
Hmm.
it first came
Yeah,
out and it
yeah,
was like
yeah.
everyone was crazy about
Yeah.
it. And I started to notice all the good well, they're all good, the
Yeah.
professional ones,
Right.
but they're all from like
Yep.
Romania, Ukraine. I was like, what is going on?
I know, it's crazy. That show for sure put it on the map or brought it back to
Yeah,
people's attention.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a whole thing. People compete all the time. Like you said, you guys don't really have breaks. It's not a seasonal sport.
No.
It's just go, go, go all the
Yeah.
time.
There's
So
always a different
then,
age category or a different class or a different country or a
yeah,
different like tier. Yeah,
right.
there's a lot.
So when you came here, is that when you decided to stop dance?
No.
No.
So my dance partner thought that I was leaving the same as me for a couple weeks. It was going to be the first break ever to visit my dad here. And then somehow we ended up staying here forever. But I tried finding somewhere to continue dance. And I was, for my age, I was really good. Like I had won the national championship in Romania before moving here. So when I came here, at the time there were just not a lot of options, but I came to Miami actually, and this one guy was like, "Well, I have this girl that gave me a tape 3 years ago, but I don't think she's good enough for you. You know, check it out." And we looked, and then he saw my tape, and he was like, "Well, you can teach here, but I can't teach you anything."
Wow.
So yeah, so I was like, "Well, I guess it's just not time, to do that anymore." So I wanted to become an architect, and I did, that I pursued that throughout high school, and then applied to a couple architecture schools. And then, right as I was about to accept where I was going to go, my mom's friend said, "Oh, you can go to UGA and get a dance scholarship." So I went there and I auditioned. I did like a Latin piece, a samba, and then I had to do ballet, contemporary, jazz, all that stuff
And
for
you
the
can
first
do
time
all
ever.
that?
No, at the time I couldn't. So I was awful at that, but because I was a guy, they accepted me in. They didn't give me the scholarship the first year. They gave it to me the next couple of years. But I was like, oh my god, I can dance again. Like this is
Yeah.
a thing you can do in college. So I scratched everything off the list and I went to UGA and I danced for 2 years and again like fully into it. I was in a contemporary and aerial company, so like kind of like Cirque du Soleil, smaller
Wow.
scale. And every summer I would go to like day long, week long, month long intensives. And at Duke we had one, and then in New York City. And then I realized after my second year that I don't need a degree to go be a dancer. So I came
Oh.
back and I was like, if I'm a good dancer, that's all that matters. So I got an econ degree,
What is that?
economics.
Oh, well,
So I
duh.
did
Yeah.
economics and dance.
I thought it was something that had to do with
No,
dance.
I know, yeah. No, I was like, I don't need a dance degree. Let's get a real degree since I'm in college.
That's actually smart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good idea. And then as I was doing that, I realized that I'm never going to be able to provide the lifestyle that I want for a family being a dancer.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of my passion for this project for culture architects lies. I don't want anybody else to feel that way or anybody else to have to give up their dream just to make ends meet,
Yeah.
because that's sad.
It is.
I still wish I would be dancing, and I tried picking it back up 10 years after dropping it, but it's not the same.
No.
Yeah,
Would you ever consider doing something in that world, like maybe a school or something? I don't know.
I don't know. My
Yeah.
first business was sort of matching up tutors with kids in like arts and dance and music and foreign languages whenever it was taken out of schools, like 12
Yeah.
years ago, 15 years ago.
Unfortunately.
Right. Um, I'd like to, yeah. I think right now I just want to build a community of people that want the same thing. And I think as a
Right.
community, we can move mountains.
For sure. For sure. Well, you brought up cultural architects, so let's dive into that
Yeah.
because I have a lot of questions.
I hope I have a lot of answers.
I'm sure you do. So yeah, let's start at the beginning. What is cultural architects?
So, Culture Architects is going to be the first NFT collection that we're launching for the Forward brand. And to give you a little bit of background, I started Forward maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now. And it was supposed to be, or it was at the time, just a fasting supplement company. I do
Okay.
intermittent fasting. So I made this one product that was 4 products that I was already taking, and I was like, I want to have a supplement company, so I started it. And I kept adding products, and at the same time, like you said, are you doing anything in arts? I guess I am. I wanted to help and support other artists, so I started the Artist Incubator, where basically I wanted to provide all the tools from like monetary to like management to finance to all that for artists so they can just focus on their art and I
That's
can help them make money
amazing.
with it. And so both of those things existed, but neither of them really had any tangents between each other. And then at the same time, having just sold my business, I was like, what do I do with, for work basically,
Yeah.
for money? So crypto was what was just coming up. My best friend from Romania had a lot of insight. So I started investing in that. And I was never really super passionate about crypto. Stocks in general and the way that financial markets work, not my jam. I just don't understand it. I
Same.
don't want to read about it.
Same. It just seems ridiculously boring to me and not
Agreed.
the complete opposite of like exciting and creative and where I want to be in my
Yeah,
headspace. It's like way far, far away from that.
100%. So I just listened to whatever he told me. And then 7 months ago now, I think I bought my first NFT. And I was like, okay, this is cool. You know, it's
Yeah.
art, it's a picture, it's a song, or it's whatever it is. And again, I was like, I'm probably not going to get super into it. I'm just going to invest some money in it and hope for the best. And because I was never like very techy, I
Mm.
never was on like all the forums. I suck at gaming. Like, none of the things that you'd think you need to be part of the NFT community and the
Yeah.
crypto community was me. And then slowly by slowly, I started seeing that there's communities forming around these projects. And I remember one of the first projects that I bought into that still exists today is Sneaky Vampire Syndicate. And I got attached to it just because
That name is
Romania
so
and
yeah.
vampires. And I was like, oh, everybody's talking on Discord. What's Discord? So
Mm.
I started looking there and having conversations and meeting friends. And then the conversation moved to Twitter, which I hadn't used since college, 2012 probably. And then met more people there and just saw how open everybody was. And I was like, you know what I'm missing the most? Like I was traveling and I was meeting people, but I wanted community. I wanted
Yeah.
somebody that like has, you know, a philosophy of like wellness being important to your life, like sleeping well, eating well, but also like having a balanced life. Like go and party and dance all night if you want to sometimes. And
Right.
like, you know, go eat that cheap meal or have a week that you're just eating whatever you want. And having that balance so that you can be happy and like content with yourself enough to then follow your passion.
Right.
Because I think if like, you know, the mind, the body, the spirit, everything's good, then you have clarity to be like, that's what I love. That's what I'm going to go for. And I
Right.
trust that it's going to happen.
And the strength
Yeah,
to, yeah,
exactly.
to explore those ideas
Right.
because it
Like,
could, yeah, it gets scary.
right. So I decided that I don't want to sell supplements to people anymore and explain to them why it's so important to fast or why it's so important
Yeah.
to eat, you know, to have electrolytes before you have your liquids or why it's so important to have all these mushrooms and the benefits. I thought I'm going to build a community that already understands the value of wellness and just give them the things that we already make
Right.
as being part of a community to support that community.
That's cool.
Yeah, and actually, my favorite book currently that I'm reading is called. Um, I'm gonna have to look it up because I forgot it. Recapture the Rapture by Jamie Wheel, and that's where I found the term culture architects. I was trying to figure out of like a catchy NFT name,
Yeah.
and
Recapture the rapture, you said. We'll
yeah,
link it down below too.
perfect. Yeah, I also met him at the summit in Austin, and he gave me the book, and I was like, "Oh my god, I feel so special."
That's so cool. That's
Yeah,
my favorite thing in the world to meet
right.
an author and see them like as real,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's so special.
He
I
was just
geek
a
out.
speaker. Yeah, I didn't even know he was an author, and I loved the way he spoke because he was so funny and like
Yeah.
cutthroat and like went for the things that we, you know, sometimes turn into fairy tales, like you know all this
Yeah.
like
We embellish a lot.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And he went straight to it, and he said, you know, if you want to build a community that lasts or a culture that lasts, you can't base it around the vanities of the human world. Like you can't, you know, you can't have a figurehead that's going to want like the most money or that wants
Mm.
like the most attention or like sexual favors or whatever, like a lot of the cults and cultures in the past.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, how do we do it? So I
Mm.
talked to him for a while and then he gave me the book, and I like the idea of architecting and like designing the culture that we want.
Yeah. That's so what is that going to look like for you?
So, step one, we just found our artist maybe a week ago. So they're working. Yeah, thank
Congratulations.
you.
That's a big step.
Man, it took me forever
I believe it. Yeah.
because you know everybody's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna make something that looks like something that already
Mm.
exists," and I was like, "I don't want to copy someone." You know, the whole
Same.
premise is like, I want to do something that's us. Like, how do we put that in character form? And it's interesting how everything kind of fell in place. So I got the name, and then I found this artist, and I was just exploring. I was like, I really like your style because the style is very like Lego like.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it kind of looks 3D, but it looks like cute Lego. And I was like, we're not gonna do humans, so we don't exclude any like gender
Right.
or culture or
Groups.
anybody,
Yeah.
right? We want to be inclusive, so we're doing spirits like elemental spirits and one
Okay.
alien.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah,
Stop. That is so
so we
cool.
can we can all see for like within ourselves what more there is. Um, and it was interesting. So I very much believe that the metaverse is cool. I
Yeah.
embrace it. Most people still think that the metaverse is going to be a one metaverse that we're all going to go in or not go in, but it's there's tons of metaverses and tons are being built every day. So I love that and I want to explore that. I don't want to shy away from that. But I also love nature and like the bodies that we have and like the world that we have and exploring it and traveling it
Yeah.
and feeling, sand between my toes and the waves crashing against my body. So I want to have both. I'm very much into balance. Like I want to have this and that. I don't want to just have pick one thing. So we're gonna have with the first collection, we're gonna have a big library of wellness education. So everything from sleep, nutrition, breath work, yoga, workouts, everything. And part of that's available to everybody in our Discord group, whether or not they're going to be holders, because why not bring up everybody, right? And then we have like a more in-depth one that gets updated more often for the holders of the NFTs. And then we have two more aspects of like community. One is in the metaverse, and I bought a plot of NFT Worlds, which is a metaverse built on Minecraft open source.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they were really smart because there's 100 million users in
Mm.
Minecraft already. Like a hundred
Yeah.
million kids that grew up knowing how to navigate it, how to work it, how to
Yeah.
build in it, and now they can make money building. Right? They can bring those skills. And the interesting part that I didn't know at the time, these little blocky characters that I fell in love with, the guy said, I can give you the file to plug them straight into that metaverse.
Oh, wow.
So from the very get go, they're going to be metaverse ready.
That's amazing.
And that means that we're going to be able to hang out there, have community events, have galleries, showcase music, showcase events, ideas, anything that people are working on.
Mm.
And then the most exciting part for me is we're also going to buy a piece of land in the real world, somewhere that the community is going to vote on, probably South America, I would think, some Costa Rica type
Yeah.
country. And we're going to co-own that as a community. So everybody that's going to hold the NFT is going to be part of a DAO, and the DAO is going to vote and hold the interest of the land. So we all
Wow.
share the wealth. It's not just like somebody's building a project, getting
Yeah.
rich, and piecing out
Yeah. Because that happens a lot.
all the time, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately. That's amazing. So then what would happen with the physical place? Like, do you guys have plans?
Yeah.
It's
Long,
okay if you can't reveal them yet.
no, for sure. I'm super open about this. So long term plans, and I think long term in this industry is like 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
like really long term. But 3 to 5 years, I'd like to have a big plot of land that we develop so we can have events, we can have festivals, we can even use it as like a Airbnb place basically, because the idea is the more we can influx money and affect lives, the more that we can do for the community. So, as money comes in for people wanting to stay at the Airbnbs or come to a conference there or come to a workshop there, then we can
Yeah.
put that back in the fund and support artists, support people's ideas, support businesses that come out of the community. So we want to have a physical location that we can all go and hang out.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What kind of people do you think is your like your the hopes would be, right? Like your ideal community member.
I think that the most important aspect of the community, or for somebody to be part of the community, is to be brave enough to want a life for themselves that's better than what they have, to
Yeah.
kind of want it all. So, and I think that takes a little bit of a rebel, Like you
Mm.
have to be a little bit of a, I'm not going to go with, what XYZ tells me or what, the news tell me or whatever,
Yeah.
and stand up for yourself and believe in yourself. So it's more of that like want of like, I want something better. I want something more. I want it all.
I think it's perfect timing what you guys are doing because, as you know, like everything the world has been through and is going through, if there's one benefit I would say that has come out of it is that people going all of a sudden, hold on, this isn't, why am I doing this?
Right.
This isn't what I want. And, those light bulbs are going off and people are starting to question and really, like you said, being brave enough to find the life that they really need to be living.
Yeah. I think part of why it's that we're doing is because we've seen what's
Yeah.
possible, and you have to prepare.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot, we're privy to a lot more information that before we weren't. The forces behind the veils were just doing whatever they wanted to, and we're like, it's okay because I have, my car and my restaurants and
Right.
whatever, and all's
I
good.
go to work, I come home, leave me alone.
Yeah. But I think some boundaries were crossed by our leadership and by the media, and a lot more people are not okay with it, and they're
Yeah.
speaking up. They're not okay with it. I think personally, the way that we're gonna sort of ebb and flow in our civilization, the next step is going back to smaller communities, and whether that's Discord channels or Metaverse or real life, I think we're gonna go back to like, this is what we all want to do, and you can be part of more communities, right? Like you want to be like part of your salsa
Yeah.
group community, and like you guys all love salsa, and then you all love stocks, or you all love NFTs and saving animals, and you can be part of these little communities so you have everything that you need and it's ran in a way that you're happy with and content with. Not, in an election half the population is unhappy at best.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just a mess
Right.
for
Everybody else.
everyone. Yeah, until the cycle starts all over again.
Yeah,
Um so can we talk about Discord really quick? Just in case.
for sure.
Yeah. So what can you explain what Discord is?
Yeah. So I actually wrote a book. I wrote an ebook for people. I'm not a writer, disclaimer. But I wanted to write a
You
book.
are, you wrote a
I
book.
guess you're right. I'm a published author. I wrote a book because I wanted people to go from zero to buying or minting their first NFT. And part of that is Discord. And we also have a Discord channel. And most of the people that I'm talking to about this project aren't super heavy into NFTs. So they have no idea what Discord is. And
Yeah.
ours is a very safe server, so nobody hacks it. So it makes it harder to join. So I made a video too that goes with the book. So I'll send you the book so you can attach it, and the
Yes.
links to the
Yeah.
videos are in the book. But Discord is basically an encrypted. So encrypted just means nobody's gonna tell you what to think, what to see, no ads, no manipulation of the data. Uh, Chat room in a way, right? So the way that I think of it is the comment section of like your social media, plus like events and announcements, plus like community. So a lot of NFT projects, most NFT projects use it because it's a safe space to learn about it, to talk about it. You can have, spoken word chat rooms, and then you can separate the different channels that you can see for different memberships. So like if somebody just wants to see what you're about, they can see that, but then you have a certain area for just the members and the holders, and you have announcements and events and upcoming projects. Your roadmap is usually there, so like the explanation
Yeah.
of what you're doing with your project and what's next. It's sort of like it's your clubhouse.
Yeah. Would it be
Yeah,
safe to say it's like a updated chat room that's safe? Right? Like
100%.
no one's
Yeah,
gonna steal your information.
yeah. Nobody's gonna steal information. Also, because people always want to steal everything, I recommend, and it's in the book too, to turn off your DMs
Oh.
for Discord. So as soon as I open Discord, I turn off my DM. So nobody, because people will come and portray like, I'm so and so from the project. Here's
Yes.
a free whatever. Here's a link to our whitelist, and
Hmm.
a
That's a
lot of
good
bad
tip.
actors. Yeah.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Yeah. So we turn that off, and then I don't allow friend requests on there. I
So if
don't click
someone
any
wants to get
links.
in touch with you,
I send them over to my Twitter.
right, Twitter's
Yeah.
like the first.
Yeah.
First step.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if we're cool
That's
on Twitter for
smart.
a little bit, yeah,
Yeah.
then we'll take it to the next level. And I was actually thinking on the way here, I was like, I'm going to NFT LA next week, and I'm reaching out to people both in groups and on Discord and on Twitter, and we kind of got to this stalemate of, okay, how do we like get in contact with each other
Yeah.
beyond just writing on each other's feed, because my DMs are closed, your DMs are closed,
Exactly.
your profile picture is an ape. Like, I don't know who you really are. So I think I want to do like a Telegram or a Signal group and share that link so we can talk kind of
Yeah.
offline. I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's new.
It's all, yeah, right. I think that's what's so exciting about it. Everything's so new and
Yeah,
it's literally being built as we speak. So you have to
right.
navigate all these different things.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
That's so exciting. What advice would you have for someone that's like, okay, I don't really understand this, but I'm excited about it. I want to jump in. What would be like the first step?
business or NFTs?
Well, actually, let's do both. Let's do NFTs first because I feel like that's the new
Right.
target term, right? Like the one everyone's
Right.
going crazy over.
So what I did, um, I allocated a little bit of money as play money, and I said I want to use this money to educate myself.
Yeah.
And I went, and again, this was 7 months ago. I went and scrolled through OpenSea, which is the largest marketplace. Looks rare. I feel like I should talk about Looks Rare too because it's really good. Um, and I just looked and I was like, I found super cheap projects. I think at the time I bought them for like $20 to like $70. Like that was about as cheap as it's gonna get. And I just bought a couple to see what the process of buying it and like linking my MetaMask and like transferring the money to the MetaMask and all that
Yeah.
stuff, and then where it would show up. Does it show up? What can I do with it? Can I send it to somewhere else? Can I sell it?
Right. Yeah,
So
there's a learning curve.
100%. Yeah. And I made mistakes. I got scammed.
No.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's why I wanted to write this book and talk to people about it, because
Oh
I heard,
no.
yeah, I mean, I've been part of, and I think everybody that's still in the industry has been part of straight up scams. Like
Mm.
I had the whole, oh hey, you're on the white list and you get to mint early, and I was like, amazing, I want to mint right now. 1 Ethereum later, it was an expensive mint too. I was like, here's
Oh
an Ethereum.
man.
So silly, but don't make that mistake. And now that's why I want to
Yeah.
write and talk about it. And then I also had the rug pulls. So the projects where they're like, this is going to be an amazing project, amazing art. We have all these plans. And then you mint and they take their money and then they ghost, they disappear.
I never, I mean, I know how it works. I get it, but I just don't at the same time. Like, how does that get to happen? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, like if you were a photographer and you were like, pay me a deposit for like your shoot on Saturday, and you did that to 10,000 people and then
Yeah.
disappeared,
You know, that
it's the
happened to
same thing.
us.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my God.
So for our wedding, we hired this amazing photographer, great reputation, an artist, not just like a camera snap away
Yeah.
person, like an artist. Everything was great. He went above and beyond. And then when it was time to get our pictures, he fell off the face of the earth. Like everyone.
Forever?
He had high profile clients that like were celebrities. Everyone was looking for him. Nobody could get a hold of
Wow.
him. And I was devastated.
And so you never got them?
I did.
Okay.
Like, we years went by, we had our firstborn, and I like every time there was a milestone in our lives, I was like, oh my God, our wedding
Where are they?
pictures. Like the one thing I cared about.
Right.
So my husband somehow found them on some sort of social media platform and reached out to him and he was like, hey, can you please? And he was like, actually, yeah, I have all your pictures here. So
Wow.
that was like my birthday present that year.
That was a good birthday
It
present.
was amazing. Like I'm like, thank God. After like
Wow.
6 years, we got our pictures.
Did he
Yeah.
grow a conscience or
He never really explained what happened. I don't
Weird.
know if something happened to him, like with his family or mentally, like if he just
Yeah.
went through something. I don't know, but it was a shame because he was an artist or is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
But now he's a not trustworthy
I
artist.
don't yeah, I don't actually know what he's up to, but his work was incredible. Anyway, I didn't mean to hijack your
No, but the good takeaway is that that happens in
Yeah,
the world today as well. Because I think
you're
a lot of people are
right.
like,
Now, yeah, it
I'm gonna
added
step
another
away.
layer. You're
Yeah.
right. It does happen. So for people that think, "Oh, I in real life I diminish the percentage of risking."
Yeah.
I mean, look, it happened to me.
Right.
And to a lot of other people, it wasn't just
Yeah.
me. It was like a number of us.
Yeah. And a
Yeah.
lot of that happens. Like Fire Festival, right?
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were gonna go to an island party and they slept on whatever in tents and nobody showed up. So I think it's easier because there's no face-to-face interaction. You don't know whose wallet it
Right.
goes to unless you like really check into it. So I was part of that. And I remember going to the moderators of the Discord actually were still there, like not knowing what was happening because they weren't the owners, and they held like a call, and it was so sad. So many people were like, I spent $600 on this project because I wanted to get into NFT and I wanted to change my life, and they were
Oh,
like, I'm not gonna ever do it again because this was a massive chunk of money for
yeah.
me. I can't, like now, whatever. I have to rebuild my savings account or whatever it was. So it's sad that these individuals are deterring so many people from like trusting the industry and seeing what's possible. But I think the more of the people that stayed are outspoken about it and outspoken about education and about, there's a lot of rug pull um, accounts and channels now that just like target these people that want to scam and expose them before it's too late usually.
That's that's really good. That's
Yeah,
smart. Yeah.
for sure. I mean, it's important because they're getting smarter. The more
There
that we're
has to
getting
be
smarter,
some
they're
sort
getting
of
smarter.
accountability.
I agree. There
Yeah.
should be.
Yeah. The people's court.
There we go. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Put
cuz
them in the ring.
exactly. That's I think what your take on it is it's right where it's at. It happens everywhere, and it
Yeah.
shouldn't stop you from getting involved in something that you feel excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did my first Twitter Spaces the other day, and a question that came up with was defining success, and a lot of people think they want that Cinderella story of,
Mm.
a year ago I minted this Bored Ape for $200,
Oh
and
no.
today it's worth like whatever, almost 300,000. Plus
Yeah.
I got the mutant that's worth 50, 60,000. Plus I just got airdropped some ape coin that's worth 100,000. But that's not gonna happen again.
That
It
was a
it was
one.
a one and done kind of
Yeah.
thing. There's plenty of other projects that do amazing and that offer you value and that you can make money through. But if you're targeting that Cinderella story of like paying $100 to make $1 million, you're gonna be a target for scammers because they're gonna
Yeah.
promise you, that, but they can't deliver that.
That's true. Yeah, you can put yourself in that position
Yeah,
and try to find those projects that are everything's going to be
yeah.
through the roof and it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
I remember in one of my like crypto groups that doesn't usually talk about NFTs, this woman came and she was like, "Hey guys, I just bought this NFT. I want to tell you all about it. I'm in Discord." And I was like, be careful of XYZ. And she got really mad at me and she was like, "No, everyone in the Discord is saying that we're going to bring the floor up to 5 Ethereum and we're going to win." And I'm
Oh,
like, of course, like everybody wants that, but it's not up to the people that want it and say that we're going to get the floor to a certain amount to actually get it. And the project flopped. But that's sort of the next layer. So it can be an intentional, scam. And you can kind of figure out if it's that based on, do you know the people in charge? What
mm,
have they done? Is their Discord and their Twitter full of fake followers and bots? But then there's people that genuinely have good intentions, but they're probably young, inexperienced
yeah.
people. And an NFT project is a business at the end of the day. It's not, again, like it was maybe a year ago. You just put some pretty pictures and they became valuable. So I think a lot of people want the best for a project, but they don't have the tools or the knowledge or even like the patience to
Yeah,
see a project through. Like if it doesn't happen in a month, I'm just gonna throw my hands up and go. So it's I think it you just have to be a little bit more discerning nowadays.
for sure.
Like who are you buying this from? What do they want? Who are they working with? Do I trust them? Like you would
Right.
in stocks, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's I think that's the smartest way to go about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump to
Let's
business.
jump to business.
Yeah. Any advice for new business owners or anybody that's thinking about having their own business?
Yeah, my opinion and the way that I do this is I think you should just start. Like start today. A lot of people have, they're like, I'm gonna spend a year planning and writing things and learning things, and I need to learn more, and this needs to be more perfect, and they end up doing nothing,
Yeah.
and they just quit. So I think,
Perfection paralysis.
right, yeah, absolutely, right.
Yeah.
So I think if you're passionate about photography, ask your friends like, hey, I want to go take some pictures of you, and then you take those pictures for free, or like they buy you a drink after, and then you have enough pictures to maybe go on Airbnb and be like, hey guys, like when you're in Miami, I do Airbnb experiences, and it's $49 for 2 hours, and you get 10 pictures. Like,
Yeah.
just do it. Whatever the smallest step that you can do today, like take that leap, because it shows you that you can do it. Most of the time, you have the idea of like I won because either you did it or somebody liked it or somebody paid you,
Right.
and you can build on that confidence and that momentum. But I think also same as NFTs, like do it because it's something that you love.
Yeah.
Don't do it because you want to make a lot of money.
Right. Have your why very
Yeah,
clear
100%.
because it gets rough, and
Yeah,
then that why it's what's gonna keep you afloat
yeah.
when nothing else. How long do you think before you can see a business flourish? Like, do you have a time frame that you give yourself?
I think it depends from business to business. I and apropos to doing it for the right reasons, I wanted a supplement company because I've seen so many successful exits. I
Mm,
wanted to mimic this one guy, Aubrey Marcus, who sold his supplement company for 260 million. And I was like,
nice.
that's going to be me. I'm going to do the
Yeah.
same thing and then exit, and it's going to be awesome. People are going to be like, yeah, money. And it didn't do anything. Like I got the product and I was struggling to like explain to people why it's so
Yeah.
good. Everyone that tried it liked it, but it just wasn't my passion.
It
And
wasn't flowing.
as soon as it didn't flow, I wanted to quit.
Yeah.
But my trampoline park, completely different story. I built it and I was there, and every day, and we had it built, and we were in a shopping center with one of those mega churches,
Hmm.
and every Sunday there were 5,000 people that went there. The first day that we opened the doors, it was just like packed, and it stayed
Wow.
packed from day one. We didn't have like the whole 2 years to like make it or
Yeah.
break it. It was just so I think it depends, and I don't think you can plan that because I helped somebody else open the trampoline park, and I copied the same demographics. I found an even better spot. I made the trampoline park look even better, and it failed.
Really.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I feel like you could do everything by the book, but there's an element of magic that gets thrown in there, and sometimes it's just not there,
yeah,
and it happens.
yeah. You know, I think we all have like a purpose in our lives and a calling, and it's not. We're not all going to be business owners.
Right.
We're not all going to be, we're not going to have our podcasts or be writers or be artists. Like, but find what that is and like be true to it. And it's going to be exciting no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So, sometimes we try to just become something because it looks cool. And that
That's
usually doesn't work either because there's going to be no
yeah.
monetary success or you're going to hate your life.
Right. That's so true.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely. I mean, if someone would have asked me if this is what I was gonna be doing, I would have been like, no way. No. Why would I just like talk to people?
Yeah.
But if you look at like my life and the things I value, it makes perfect sense. Um, but yeah, you have to find what really speaks to you for sure.
How did this call you?
So I feel like I I've told this story a couple of times, so the people listening, I'm sorry. So I was an English teacher
Hmm.
for a long time, for like a decade. It's like all I ever wanted to do was be around books. Yeah. So as soon as I got my college degree, I went straight to teach, and that's what I did for a long time until it started not becoming the thing that I loved anymore. I was not looking forward to going to work, and so I just decided, okay, I need to change my life, and I left. And like how you mentioned, your mom went through stuff being at home. Same thing for me. I was not happy just being at home.
Yeah.
So I decided, okay, I need to go back to books. I need to find a way to be around them again. So I started working on a literary magazine, which is where Miami Lit was born.
Oh, I
Yeah.
get it. That's
Um,
so funny.
yeah. But again, it wasn't flowing. Just because the community that I wanted to build, much like my classroom, I wanted it to be diverse. And for a literary magazine, it gets so much more specific and closed off, and even elitist at times. And that's the complete opposite of what I wanted. So it stayed dormant for a couple of years, like 2 years. And then, my husband had been suggesting to me, why don't you turn it into a podcast? And he just kept nagging me until I said, okay, I'll try and we'll see if I like it. And then I fell in love because it has all
Right.
the components that I cared for. Yeah. So that's how it happened.
That's amazing. Even you said community, like you
Yeah.
wanted a diverse community.
Yeah.
I think we all crave that in one way or another.
Yeah. We're social creatures,
Right.
and we definitely thrive off of each other. So I think it's important, and if we saw anything with the past like 2 years, it's how devastating isolating yourself can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I try to outrun the pandemic.
Really?
Yeah.
You were like hopping.
I was. I went to LA in the middle of it, but I lived in like we'll call it a startup house, but it was more like a commune. So I had a lot of people around and it was okay. And then I went to Tulum because that was sort of like the place that everybody was running away from New York and
Yeah.
Miami and LA. And then the beauty of it was I found this community that was all of a sudden as a group we were all running away from the pandemic and trying to like
That's so
stay
funny.
connected and have interactions and like have sort of like a normal social life while exploring and while trying to
Yeah.
to not be quarantined.
That's so. Did you guys make it? Like, did at any
Yeah,
point you
yeah, because
did?
Tulum was open, and then we went to Brazil, and for like the first month it was open, and the second month it was getting more closed, and then we went to Mexico City, and then we went to Barcelona and Greece and Copenhagen. I caught Copenhagen for a little bit, and I went to Romania back home for a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, and then it just kind of caught up everywhere. I think it was like that
Yeah.
second wave
Mm-hmm.
or third wave or God knows which wave. And but you know what I realized on the road, as much as I thought I could work and travel, but I wasn't building anything. I was maintaining at best.
Mm.
Because you want to experience everything
Yeah.
and you want to stay up and you want to eat all the things and you want to, do all the things. So that's when I decided to come back to Miami because everybody was coming back to Miami.
Yeah.
That's what I think that's so beautiful about Miami right now. It always had such a diverse culture with like the Latin culture especially. And then New York and LA and Chicago came and brought more of the city culture. And like I think what's created now is just everything. You have it all.
Yeah.
You have the people, you have the conferences, you have the business, but you also have like the dancing and the culture and the music and the people and the food.
The food. Oh my God.
So good.
So good. So many great places here. So since you brought up Miami, let's talk a little bit about Miami culture.
Yeah.
And your perspective it's an interesting one because as you just mentioned, you've been all over. So what do you think makes Miami so special? So extra. Because we're
So extra.
extra.
I think it's a combination of people and then even like the broadness, the breadth of diversity within the one city. So, like I said, the people from everywhere kind of coming here and bringing stuff with them because of the pandemic. Like, there's so many Smorgasburg from
Mm.
Brooklyn and then LA opened in Wynwood 2 weekends ago. That's a
Really?
yeah, that's a
It's
Brooklyn thing, right?
yeah.
So and then there's Salt and Straw, which is from LA in my building. There's so many places that are like only specific to like New York or LA or somewhere, and they're bringing it with them because they're like, I'm not just going on vacation, I'm moving to Miami. I want to
Yeah.
bring the part that I love to Miami. And then I love like the difference between, and I don't know all the little neighborhoods, but the beach side, which is like music and dancing and like parties and beach
Right.
clubs and like a certain vibe and riding your bike and all that stuff. And then we live in Wynwood because my girlfriend's a fashion designer and she's from New Orleans. So she didn't want
Nice.
to live at the beach.
Yeah.
So we found like the artsiest place in
Right.
Miami, and
It's perfect.
it's so crazy how much art and how fast it changes.
Yeah.
So we're straight in the middle of it, and I swear every 2-3 weeks a number of walls get repainted with a new mural. Like there's so much new art all the time and
Yeah.
so much coming in and so much changing and also so much construction. But it's like really cool to be inspired all the time. To be around so many other people that like want to create
Mm.
and want to liven up. That's it. That's what Miami has. It's very lively. It's
Yeah.
alive. It's never a dead moment.
Right. Yeah, I think you put it beautifully. I love that too. It just feels like there's always stuff going on, but not in that rushed New York kind of way,
Right.
in more of like a let's create kind of
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
which is what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Everything's always like all the events or even all the parties are always around some sort of education or some sort of building or art or supporting a community or something like that. It's not just like
Right.
let's work, 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 and then let's party so we forget about work.
Exactly. Oh my God, yes. Yeah, that's exactly how it feels.
Yeah.
Um, how do you stay inspired to create?
Usually travel inspired me. Um, I always wanted to visit new people and see new cultures and see new perspectives. But I think what I found is that it wasn't the traveling, it was the people.
Mm,
And I think it helps that there's so many people from all over the
yeah.
world in Miami right now. So every conversation that I have is so inspiring. And somehow we all have some sort of tangent.
Mm,
You know, either it's wellness or acro yoga or dancing or living abroad or traveling or
yeah.
NFTs. A lot of
Exactly.
NFTs. Honestly, I it surprises me because again, I've never been like a Reddit type person or blogs and chat rooms and all that ever. But seeing how fast and how many opportunities there are with NFTs and how much we're learning and doing every day is just mind blowing. Like 2 days ago, well, 2 weeks ago, maybe if that, um, Bored Ape Yuga Labs, the
Mm,
owners of Bored Apes, bought CryptoPunks and Meebits.
hmm.
Huge news, etc., etc., etc. Then, like 5 days later, in a tweet, they announced tomorrow we're going to drop our ape coin. They drop it the next day. They give it for free. 11 the club slash residences, 11 Miami, are like, we're going to take the ape coin to buy an apartment with us. So it becomes real. And then
Yeah.
4 days later, they announced that them and like 5 or 6 other of the biggest blue chip NFT projects are creating a metaverse together. And they just raised $450 million in funding.
That's
So
crazy.
it just moves so fast and it shows you like how much we're learning and we're listening. Like I think as a community, unlike old
Yeah.
traditional businesses, you listen because you're nothing without your consumers,
Right.
right? If you're Chevy, you've positioned yourself in the market and in like, all the ads and all the way that you built your structure. Nobody's going to be like, "Oh, I'm unhappy with how Chevy's, acting towards their employees. I'm not going to buy a Chevy anymore." But with NFTs, if you don't do what the community is asking, then we're just gonna leave and go
Hmm.
somewhere else because they're gonna do it. So I think it's nice that there's like this relationship between like the project owners and the holders because we care about each other.
Yeah. I think that's one of the most special things. And,
Yeah.
I like you, I'm not really techie, but that's one of the things that I really like about the space. And I can see so much value in it.
Yeah.
It really is a symbiotic relationship. And like you said, there's so much listening, because
Yeah.
there's no other way to go
Right.
about it. You can't just like bully your way through something and be like, well, this is the way I want it.
Yeah.
Because there's, so many other voices. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the only NFT. No matter what, somebody else
Exactly.
can do it
There
if you don't do it.
exactly. And there's so many great ones out
Right.
there, you
Yeah,
know. So many amazing artists getting involved.
it's
And
true.
yeah.
And it's bringing artists work as well and
Yeah.
recognition.
Mhm. The artist that we work with, she was a teacher as well, and she was able to quit her job to do art full time.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Is
So
that the
it's
murals that you were talking about the other day?
she's yeah.
Oh my god,
She
that's
a lot of
amazing.
her murals are in Wynwood because that's where she
Yeah.
started 10 years ago.
Wow.
So hers don't. Well, I don't want to make it sound like it's a rule, but usually hers don't get painted over,
Wow.
just because they've become almost historical.
I love
They've
that.
been there for such a long time. Yeah. I think one got repainted like maybe 2 months ago. It was like the first one, just because it was so old already.
Okay.
It was losing its luster. It wasn't what it was at the beginning.
Yeah, 10
Yeah,
years.
exactly. So it's been a whole decade. But yeah, it's definitely changing so many people's lives,
Yeah,
and finally putting, to echo what you said at the beginning, the artist is able to put food on the table,
right.
and a lot of the middleman stuff is done away with. So I think that's so important. Why do you think art's important? I was having this conversation with someone yesterday because we were talking about how so many people get pushed to, be doctors, engineers, lawyers, um, and art is kind of like, okay, whatever, go do art and have no food.
Right. Be a starving artist.
Yeah.
As you asked that, I thought, I wonder why we think the other jobs are so important.
Mm.
And I think the other jobs are important because the previous generations, like our parents and their parents, had just dealt with like war and losing everything, whether it's, the Second World War, like communism or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden their priorities were eating, having a roof over my head, and like, you know,
And
providing
rebuilding
for the,
society.
yeah, they didn't have the luxury to think about like their wellness and their self-care and their mental health and
Yeah.
spirituality and all that stuff. So I think, throughout society, there's a book called The Fourth Turning. It basically shows how, really good book.
I'm gonna write that one
It's
down
it's
too.
it's weird. It's 20 years old, but it's only now becoming relevant because of crypto. Like they predicted
Really?
basically this pandemic and how the world's changing and like the war and everything. They knew this was going to happen because we're in the time when basically, according to them, America is either going to like change massively or fall.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we
Yeah,
all feel it, unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a turning point for
it
sure.
is. But the beauty of it is what comes, the first turning that comes after the fourth turning is the place where like art flourishes,
Hmm.
where we build, buildings that like people come and visit and last forever, and like everybody's dancing in the street, and art's everywhere, and people have the space, both mentally and like
Yeah.
physically, to be inspired and to like enjoy what they do and do it and be appreciated. So I think it's time basically for art to matter again. And this time around, it's not going to be, churches and cathedrals and whatever it was in the Vatican
Right.
and sculptures. It's going to be digital,
NFTs.
so we can all look at it all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
And buy it,
And buy it.
because
Right.
last time art was such a big deal, none of us would have been able to afford it.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to speak for everybody.
Yeah. Most people.
Most people wouldn't have been able to afford it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
for
very
sure.
elitist. And also like the artists, right? There were what, in Florence, there were 5 artists, and
And
everybody
that's
in
it.
Europe bought them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's like unlimited artists. We all have an equal voice. If
Right.
if you like my art, you can have it. Then
Yeah.
I'm an artist. No, it's nice, and it's so inspirational, and it makes you feel good. And I think I'm gonna get a little spiritual, but art vibrates
Mm.
differently than mechanics or anything else. So just
Yeah.
being around it feels different. It makes you feel good.
Yeah. It has such an important function in society
Yeah,
for it reaches that part of you that's not tangible.
yeah,
Like obviously we all know we need a doctor and a
right.
lawyer and, an engineer. But there's also that other part of us that
Yeah.
needs to be nurtured. We
Right.
need to look at beautiful art.
Yeah.
We need to feel connected. Yeah, listen to a good piece of music.
Listen to a good podcast.
Oh my God, thank you. Thank you. Yes, let's do that, please.
Really, and also creating, like you're
Yeah.
creating, or like even if I'm not a writer, I wrote something, or like I doodle on a page, or I go and like do a little samba move in the park. Like it's enough to just like
To
be a little bit
sustain
of
you.
artist. Yeah. To just
Yeah.
feel better.
Yeah. What was it? Was it Picasso that said like there's a little artist inside all of us? I'm totally butchering that. I don't
Probably.
remember. Or every child's an artist, something like
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. I have heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then as we grow, it's like they beat it out of
Right.
you. Like, no.
Yeah. Right.
You will
Education.
not spend 3 hours painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will become a factory worker because school
Yes.
is a
We need
factory.
yeah, that's a whole different
That's a whole topic,
conversation, but
right? Right.
it's yeah, the state of our schools, it's terrible. It's sad
It is.
what's happening. Yeah.
I think I think the NFT world is going to change education as well.
I would hope so. I was having that conversation the other day. I think it was with my husband. How amazing it would be for people to become educated in that space, like
Yeah,
in the not get educated about the space, but receive their education through the space. If
yeah,
that makes sense.
for sure.
Yeah.
One of my really good friends that I met actually in Miami through the NFT space, who I think would be great on your show, Ish.
Oh,
He,
you think he'll come on?
yeah, of course
Okay.
he'll come on. I was actually thinking about reaching out on my way here today.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, he's speaking at a lot of conferences and stuff, but he wrote a course, like I think it was like an online like visual course on like NFTs, teaching people about NFTs. And now, like you said, he has two collections, two NFT collections, and he's including that education in with the NFT. So you buy the NFT, you get the
Wow.
education on trading and selling and buying NFTs. Plus, he has every week like somebody talking about crypto or somebody educating you on like security in this space or whatever. So that's the kind of people that you don't mind, getting their NFTs regardless of what the value
Yeah,
is going to do in the future because he's giving you value now.
exactly. And the value is intangible. I mean, you're
Right.
getting an education
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and a support group. We all
Yeah.
talk and we all chat back and forth. We hang out when we're in the same city.
Nice. Oh,
Yeah,
I would be interested in joining that group.
for sure.
Yeah.
It's called Apes Club.
Rich Apes Club.
Yeah,
Okay.
he has a board ape, so this project's a derivative.
Oh, maybe he was at the event on Saturday.
He
I
was
don't
in
know.
LA.
Oh, no, then he wasn't.
He's gonna be at NFT
Okay.
LA as well, and then he's coming back here
Are
for
you guys
for
doing the San Diego con? I think it starts April 1st.
no, just because Bitcoin Miami is April 1st,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's like
it's
there's
right
so
here.
much
I
happening.
know. And then
Yeah.
there's something right after, and I think we're gonna do an event actually after Bitcoin Miami. So
Cool.
we'll get you over there.
Yeah, that would be fun. Are you for cultural architects, are you gonna have like in real life events?
100%. So I think one thing that we're doing differently, and I don't know, I suspect from like an investment perspective, it's probably like not smart, but I don't care. I, usually you sell an idea and a hope, and then after you give me the money, I'm gonna go buy and create all the things that I promised you for. And thankfully I'm lucky enough and I believe in this project enough that I'm doing all this ahead of time. So that's why I already bought the metaverse land before we even have a character and an NFT to sell. And I'm building an advisory board and the education board, and I'm adding these channels to the Discord already with the breath work and the meditation and all that because it's important to me. And like I want to create it for
Yeah.
anybody, even if we never sell an NFT. And I'm talking to Ish so we can go in. There's a big festival on April the 6th, and we want to co-sponsor. And it's crazy if you think about it, co-sponsor because I can't sell anything yet.
Mm.
And, I'm okay with that. Even if I
Yeah.
can't get your money, I want you to be happy. I want to provide something for you
Right.
so we can connect and be
Well,
better
that's where that
together.
why comes in.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it all somehow all the pieces of the puzzle come together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited about your project though.
Thank you. Yeah, me
I
too.
think it's it's very needed because Web3 world, especially now that people are becoming aware of it, they think it's this just thing that lives somewhere and you're just going to be sitting in a dark room on your couch with your computer or device. But the way you're presenting it, it's like you said, it's a balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's going to be super cool.
Yeah. I'm noticing a lot of Discords are adding like a mindfulness meditation channel
Mm.
because so many people are staying up all night. Like you see on the
Yeah.
chats, you're like, it's 6 a.m. and I'm just now going to go to bed for 30 minutes so I don't miss out on like any price fluctuation. And I'm like,
Hmm.
yes, that's great, but also like sleep.
Yeah.
What are
It's
you going
not
to do if you win?
sustainable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable and you're not
Yeah.
going to feel good even if you do make that money
Right.
that you think you're going to make.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very much about balance. You can have it all. You can have the
Yeah.
balance and the health and the
Right.
success in the space.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
It
you
was a
for being
pleasure.
here and sharing. And I can't wait to see this flourish and all the amazing things that you're going to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you to everybody listening or watching. We'll make sure to have Alex's information linked down below so that they can reach you. Oh, wait,
Yeah.
before we go, your Instagram name.
Yeah.
That is I love it. How did that come about?
So little bitch in life. I used to be really serious about like building my social image and like being an influencer and people paying me to like go stay at their hotels and whatever. And so I was spending a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of attention, not taking care of myself.
Mm.
And it just mattered too much. And one day I was like, you know what? Screw this. And I asked my girlfriend, I was like, what's like a really funny name? And we were traveling at the time. So she was like, you should do Little Bitchin' Travel Superstar. So Superstar was too long. So I was Little Bitchin' Travels for a little bit. And now that it's not just about travel, I changed it to life.
I love it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Little Bitchin' Life on Instagram, on Twitter. And then on my Instagram and my Twitter, the Discord is going to be there.
Yeah.
And if you guys come and write Miami Lit in the general chat on Discord, I'll send you guys a little something special.
Oh, okay. I'm going to do it.
Do
I'm going
it.
to be the first one.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
thanks
so
so much.
kind of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So now goodbye for real.
Goodbye.
Thank you again to everybody listening. Make sure to reach out to Alex to keep up with all the cool stuff and to become a part of it. I think it's going to be awesome. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you.